So I was going over some of the older conventions again. I had some notes on May 2017, JW Broadcasting, minute 6. You might remember this video if you saw it of this woman who works in an office with a lot of other people. And oh no, she's having a huge crisis of conscience because another coworker gives her an invitation to some kind of get together. Now, there's no even indication, because I actually looked twice, that it's a birthday party or something wicked like that. Even in the song, she's conflicted and says, singing, it might be harmless and respectable. Of course, we know what she decided, or she wouldn't be in this video. Then Jeffrey Jackson says her Bible-trained conscience helped her to make a wise decision. See, he wouldn't have liked it if her Bible-trained conscience made her decide she could go, she could be free to go. If she is a person of conviction, she's not going to really start doing what they do or believe what they believe if it's wrong, if it's against her beliefs, her convictions. I mean, this is so ridiculous. I guess it's part of the behavior control, this isolation. It's really subtle and how they put it into this fun melody song, but which is really intense and really legalistic. It says that Jackson says she made a wise decision with her Bible-trained conscience, and she knew what potential danger lay ahead. So, wow, we're just relieved that she resolved her crisis of conscience by doing the wise thing, according to Jeffrey Jackson. Then Jackson, at minute 46, totally perverts scripture, as they usually do, and twists it. Jesus' words in, I think it was Matthew, I forgot to write it down, Matthew 11:28. Come to me, all you who are toiling and loaded down, and I will refresh you. Now, listen to what he says right after that. He says, yes, conventions can be a refreshment to us, giving us the boost we need. You know, they do this so many times. They'll quote a verse and then they'll say, oh, yes, yes, this is so true that blah, blah, blah. And it's not really what the verse was about. It's totally twisted and distorted. Is there any ever talk or literature that doesn't mention either the governing body, elders, conventions, literature, spiritual food at the proper time? Do they ever have anything exegeting a Bible passage as to just what it's about without inserting themselves into it? Not very much, I don't think so. Then, let's see, on to June 2017, minute 30. They say this a lot of times, and this just sounds so arrogant to me. You know, it's talking about where Jesus said, no man can come to me unless the Father draws him. And the Watchtower says it's because God saw something precious in your heart. Now, the Bible doesn't really say that. It says in many passages that God saves sinners. I mean, Paul calls himself the chief of sinners, and that's why he magnified God's mercy and grace. And to me, this is an additional factor. They keep repeating this, and it breeds arrogance in Jehovah's Witnesses, not only for being a Jehovah's Witness, but why they were able to become a Jehovah's Witness, because God saw something in them that is not in other people. So that's a really distortion of Scripture also. Then in October 2017, minute 41, he says, we're not leaders. Elders are not leaders. He makes this big distinction about it's not a title. And he talks about servant leadership that Jesus taught, as though they practice that actually, that they don't execute it, they don't practice it as a position that lords it over others. But I actually personally experienced 2 Jehovah Witness elders. I told the story about it on one of my early videos years ago, that I had invited ladies that were on one of those, I think it was even before carts, but they had a table with the literature at a place they used to come to every single Saturday. They don't really as much anymore. In my area, the preaching was very much diminished in the past couple of years. But anyways, I apparently told the elders that we had a great time talking. The one lady said, this was the most interesting Bible discussion I've had in years. Things like that. I asked them some questions, and they had gotten my info and said they were going to come back. And these 2 elders in suits and carrying briefcases come striding up our driveway. I wish I could have taped it. And they're telling me I cannot meet with the ladies again. Now, why didn't they just tell me? Which I thought was strange too. But now we know, how paranoid they are, and they probably told them not to have any more contact with me. I just really was so shocked at their hubris, thinking or assuming that I cared who they were. They had this whole air of having some kind of authority, and I just found them as very deluded and arrogant. And I responded back to everything they said, and I even asked them, do you have any idea that I could care less who you are at the Kingdom Hall? They just don't. They're just living in their own little world, and it was so strange. And in accord with that experience I had, I can't project how their elders are just from that experience, but literally there is now tens of thousands of people that are former members that tell about their experiences. And I'd say almost all of them agree that elders that are the real humble kind, really want to help people, listen to them, help them, are the minority. So that's the impression I get, that a lot of them are like those ones I ran into. Anyway, that's all I got for today.